All right, thank you. Good morning. This is the April 26th meeting of the Educational Professional Standards Board's Waiver Committee. I'm joined this morning by fellow committee members Eli Edwards and Kathy Gunn. We have 7 waivers to review and formulate a recommendation to present to the full board. Starting with Waiver A will be presented by Kathy Jacobs.
Or Jackson.
Oh, sorry.
And her good friend Kathy Jackson.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm going to fill in for her today, okay?
I guarantee you've been called worse.
I have been called worse, but Sherry's known me for a long time.
We fought together.
Yes. Okay, waiver A is for the waiver of regulation of 70 days for student teachers. District closures due to COVID-19 have made it impossible for many student teachers to complete the 70 days before the close of spring 21 semester. School closings are out of the control of students and EPPs. However, both have made good faith efforts to complete as many days as possible. There are 7 universities or EPPs that have submitted waivers. They've enclosed a waiver request, a list of their students and how many days to be waived, and a letter from their dean. Those EPPs include Campbellsville University, Georgetown College, Kentucky Wesleyan College, Murray State University, Northern Kentucky University, Transylvania University, and University of the Cumberlands. The dates that they put, they may not use as many days as they put on their request, but they just covered themselves because, they had to turn this in a month ago. So.
Okay. So you have waiver A before you, and I need a motion.
I motion to, I don't know exactly how to state it for this one, but I motion to find exceptional circumstances justifying the waiver.
Okay.
For waiver A.
For waiver A.
And do we have a second?
And just so that you know, only Sherry, Eli, and Kathy are able to vote and make motions in this group. We're just here for support, the rest of us.
So.
I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable seconding. I just had a question.
Okay.
So do you want me to wait with my question?
Well, I think if you want to second the motion, then we'll go into discussion and then we'll vote, Kathy. Or
what's the question, Kathy? Maybe staff can help.
Well, I guess my question was, I understand that they might not be able to get the 70 hours in person because of COVID, but are they doing it virtually? Okay, that was my concern. So then I'm more than comfortable seconding the motion.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none. If you approve waiver A, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. All right, and the motion carries. Sorry, Kathy. I wasn't following what you were saying there, but I'm with you now, okay? All right. We have waiver B, and Ms. Jackson will present the summary of the waiver.
Okay, waiver B is from Morehead State University. They have a theater major, Alyssa Francis. This information is found on page 105 of your documentations if you want to look at it. But the regulation states that when a candidate is pursuing a K through 12 certification, that placement must be divided between an elementary and a middle high school setting. So there are few, if any, elementary theater placements. And Morehead has diligently looked for a placement, and they have not been able to find one. So they therefore have placed the student in a middle school and a high school rather than just one of those.
And Kathy, this is pretty standard.
It's pretty standard, yes. This is one of those that usually goes through an alternative waiver, and it kind of is an alternative waiver, but the wording of that may be changed to make that a little simpler, because right now you got to get letters from the district and everything else for an alternative waiver, and that's harder than getting a regular waiver. So.
All right, so you have Waiver B.
Yes.
Presented. Do we have a motion?
Yes, I make a motion that we approve Waiver B and not require the elementary hours in place of, and allow the high school to place for it.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. If you approve Waiver B, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. All right, then Waiver B is approved. Waiver C, Allison Bell will present a summary of the waiver.
Good morning. Waiver
morning.
C is requested by Morehead State University relating to the admission requirements for the Director of Special Education Program. Sorry. On behalf of Ms. Stacy Ligori, Section 2 of the regulation for the Advanced Educational Leaders identifies the prerequisites for admission, which include qualifications for a Kentucky teaching certificate, rank 2, completion of at least 3 years of full-time documented teaching experiences. In addition, Section 8, number 2, requires for admission to a Director of Special Education program, at least 1 year of the required teaching experience shall be as a teacher of exceptional children or school psychologist. Dr. Tony Norman, Dean of the College of Education at Morehead State University, is requesting the EPSB waive the portions of the regulation that require applicants for admission to have completed at least 3 years of full-time teaching with a minimum of 1 year as a teacher of exceptional children. Ms. Ligori taught for 6 years from 2003 to 2009 for the New York City Board of Education, but is unable to substantiate this experience with proof of employment due to moving and the amount of time that has passed. In 2013, Ms. Ligori provided the EPSB proof of 2 years of social studies teaching experience from 2007 to 2009. Based on these 2 years and her New York social studies certification, she was issued a Kentucky teaching certificate for social studies for grades 5 through 9 and grades 8 through 12. Ms. Ligori was alternatively certified in New York, and that certification did not transfer to Kentucky. Since 2014, Ms. Ligori has been employed as an academic program consultant at the Kentucky Department of Education in the Office of Special Education and Early Learning. Morehead State University is requesting that Ms. Ligori's previous teaching experience and her experience with the Kentucky Department of Education be considered as appropriate experience to meet the requirements for admission to their Director of Special Education program.
Okay, you have the summary of Waiver C, and I need a motion.
I make a motion that we approve Waiver C and accept her previous experience.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Eli. Any further questions or discussion? All right, if you approve Waiver C, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. All right, and Waiver C is recommended for approval. Waiver D and Crystal Horde will present the summary of the waiver.
Thank you. So Waiver D is requested by Miss Julia Parsons. She is a rank 3 level teacher in Bullitt County. She has completed a previous master's degree in higher education administration through U of L. And while she's not pursuing administrator certification, she is asking the board to allow this previous master's degree to meet the requirements of 8020 and allow her to receive a rank 2. She says that many of the coursework concepts in that program, in the leadership and administration program, are applicable to the K-12 classroom, and which is her reason for requesting the waiver.
Crystal, have we had, I was thinking we've had 1 or 2 of these come before us before. Do you remember?
Yes, I did look this up. They sometimes, as you know, the degree names may be slightly different from institution to institution. In past, going back to past board decisions, I did not see that the board has previously approved higher ed degrees for rank change.
Because it's quite a bit different, the curriculum.
Some of, like I said, I don't think we've had one with this exact degree name that what she has. Let me look at the transcript on hers real quick. It's a master's degree in higher education administration. I know we've had similar degree or requests for rank 2, but these typically have not been approved by the board in the past.
Okay, you have Waiver D, the summary. Do I have a motion?
I mean, based on historical precedents, then I motion to deny the waiver.
Do we have a second?
I guess I'll second.
Okay. Any questions or discussions? I did look some things up, and the curriculum's quite different for higher ed administration.
That's what I would love to see as a side-by-side comparison.
That's what I was thinking too, Kathy. I almost need more information to fully know which way to go.
Crystal, is there any way to put that? I don't know if we could put that on screen without giving away PII, can we?
U of L's are you talking about the transcript?
Well, it would show the courses.
Yeah, let me see if I can do a screen share. And U of L's transcripts do not show socials. So I think we're okay with the PII as long as I'm sharing my screen now. Let me know if everybody can see that. Can you all see? Now this is, all right, that's her undergrad. Let me move forward to her graduate work. Okay, this is where her graduate work starts. There's Intro to Research Methods, American College University Organization and Administration, Higher Ed, Ed Research, Management, Post-Secondary Ed, Diversity in Higher Ed, Legal Issues in Post-Secondary Education, U.S. College Students, Principles of Educational Leadership, Educational Policy, Academic Advising, Philosophy of Higher Education, two-year college, and some I'm guessing that's professional project in higher ed.
Yeah, I think that like half of those would probably align, but I don't think it would be a full degree.
Typically, and this is if you all want this input. Do you all want my input on this, or as far as like not if somebody was to contact our office and ask about a rank change degree, and they came to us with a degree such as this, we would refer them to contact one of the EPPs and let them know that some of the coursework in this program may be transferable to an approved rank change program. Knowing that, you know, our first answer to candidate to contact us about rank change program, when we know it's a program that does not meet the requirements of 8020, that's what we refer them to. Here's a list of approved approved programs and the institutions where they are. Contact them, and some of this coursework may be transferable into an approved program.
The other thing is that a lot of students that are in this program at many universities are not even teacher education students, education preparation. They're coming from a lot of other disciplines and areas that have nothing to do with educator preparation programs. So, any other questions for Kathy or Crystal? Sorry.
I'm going to stop sharing if you all are good with that.
Okay, so you have the summary of the waiver, and we have a motion and a second. The motion was to that we did not find exceptional circumstances to justify the waiver. If you approve the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay. All right. Waiver E, and Crystal Horde will present the summary.
Okay, I've got that one too. So waiver E, let me rotate my page around now from where I was looking at the transcript. Waiver E is requested by Mr. Frederick Whitaker. This is a waiver. He's requesting a waiver of 16 KAR 6010 and the 5-year recency rule for certification assessments. Mr. Whitaker completed an Option 6 MAT program at U of L in 2012. He has been employed as a teacher in the Catholic school system in Louisville prior to enrollment in his MAT, but then also ever since he completed his MAT program in 2012. Specifically, he's been teaching middle school science, which is what his Option 6 program area was. He's been teaching that consistently in grades 6, 7, and 8 since completion of his MAT. For a variety of reasons, namely being that the Catholic school system does not require state certification, he did not apply for certification when he completed his Option 6 program. Now, due to some circumstances changing, he's wanting to apply for his state certification, and he just learned prior to filing for this waiver request that his PLT and his middle school content assessment expired in 2016 and 2015. So he is requesting a waiver of the 5-year recency rule based on the fact that he has been teaching middle school science consistently since graduating from his program.
Do we have verification of his teaching?
Yes. His, as part of the document submitted in support of his waiver request, we received a letter from his principal as well as his state representative who, out of Louisville, who also has worked with him on some of his, with some of the teaching that he has done and his students that have presented to the, I believe she says, to the State House and Senate. But specifically, his letter from his principal does state that he's taught, he's been employed as a middle school teacher at St. Francis of Assisi since 2002, but he's consistently been teaching middle school science since 2012 in grades 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
Is there precedence on this one?
Yes, we have had a couple, within the last probably 2 years, we have had a couple instances where, typically it's like somebody has taken a test for an endorsement area that they may not be actively using, and didn't realize that the endorsement hadn't been added to their certificate. So we do have a couple instances where we have teachers teaching in the classroom, who didn't realize an endorsement was not added, but they had taken and passed the assessment.
Crystal, if I could hop in just real quick, a couple of points too is one of the things that the regulation doesn't take into account is that ETS has extended their validity period to 10 years from 5, and the reg just hasn't kept up with that. The other part is that the PLT has not changed since 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more than comfortable making a motion that we approve the waiver E
Okay,
based on his past test results and current teaching experience.
And I second.
okay, all right. So we have a motion to approve waiver E. Any further discussion? All right, if you approve the motion to approve waiver E, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. All right. Waiver F. Crystal?
Okay, thank you. Waiver F is similar to our previous waiver. This one is requested by Miss Amber Wilhoit. She is a teacher. This is similar to what I was explaining. She's a certified teacher. She's been teaching consistently in the classroom. She completed an ESL endorsement program through Asbury in 2009. At the time that she completed the program, when she was recommended for the rank change with that program, she had not yet taken the ESL endorsement test. So she was recommended for rank change only by the university. A couple years later, she did take and pass the assessment, but she wasn't aware of the process to get the endorsement added. She thought that once you take the test, the endorsement gets added. She didn't realize that she had to go back through the university to get another recommendation for the endorsement to be added. In the meantime, she wasn't teaching in a solely ESL classroom. However, since that was her training and her education for that area, she has been teaching ESL students consistently since completion of that program. So it's only recently that she discovered that her ESL endorsement was not added. When she realized that, she contacted our office and discovered that her ESL test expired in 2016. So she also is requesting the board to waive the 5-year recency requirements of 6010 to allow her ESL test to stand and have the endorsement added.
I'll motion to approve waiver F.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right. If you approve the motion to approve waiver F, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. All right. And waiver G, Crystal.
Okay, thank you. One more waiver here of 6010. Miss Mary Shoemaker is requesting a waiver of the 5-year test recency requirement in 6010. Her circumstances are a little different. She was already a certified teacher. She pursued the advanced elementary education program to add that elementary to her existing certificate. She had taken her previous or 3 of the 4 parts of the elementary multiple subject test in 2015 and was scheduled to take the 4th part of that test in 2020 when the testing centers, I believe it was the math portion, when the testing centers closed due to COVID. When she was not able to, to take the test in person, I believe she just recently took and passed the test, but now that she's passed the fourth part of it, the other 3 sections have already expired. They're just outside. I think they're now 6 years old rather than 5 years old. So she's now passed all 4 sections, but 3 of those tests have expired. So she's asking the board to waive that 5-year recency requirement. And going back to what Rob said, since ETS now keeps record of scores for 10 years, those previous tests would still be considered valid scores by ETS standards.
All right, thank you, Crystal. Do you have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve waiver G based on her previous scores and her passing the math portion this year or last year.
And I second.
Okay, any further discussion? I will note here that I need to recuse myself from voting on this one. So if you approve waiver G, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. All right. And carries. All right. Hearing no further discussion, at this time, the waiver committee meeting is adjourned.